going
and
so
rate
that
survivability. But the main thing there is bringing that damage
extra
bonus
25.
to everybody.
Yeah.
Like it's not sacrificing anything. It's definitely not as hard hitting as like the Sokov build, or Negotiator, but it definitely it
Dude,
holds its
ND
own.
thumps pretty hard, even single target,
Yes, it
man.
does. Yes, it does.
Yeah, it's a mean motherfucker.
Well, I've got
To
that on
put
this
it
character
lightly.
too, so we can switch through those. And
Nice.
I think the only one I don't have on here is, let's see.
Let's see. We'll knock it up a notch for you so you can show it off. We'll go heroic.
Hmm?
Fog of War's on, but
That's fine.
deal. So, okay, now that I've got it running, I'm here with Rigid. Go ahead and say hi, Rigid.
Hey, for a
Okay.
second time.
Because I can't get it right the first time. So, anyways, we tried not to rehearse or anything, and we were going unscripted here. Usually, most of my build videos are. Do want to give a shout out to the FKM Death Division, and of course Twitch and YouTube for providing me a platform to stream on. YouTube, of course, I do have to use the benefit of Aircast. So if you guys are having difficulty broadcasting from your Xbox to YouTube directly, that's because you need a restreaming software or restreaming site that you go through. Aircast is the one I chose to use. It's pretty reliable, never let me down yet, and I use that. So if you're having problems with that, go ahead and use that. I definitely think that my boy Rigid here, he runs with us quite often. He's been in the clan for a while now. I've been running with him since early days before I even had my my Rolex or my 1000 watch, and he's taught me a lot from the beginning, and we've kind of taught each other a bunch of stuff and shown each other a bunch of cool stuff. And one of the things that we wanted to touch on today that I've been getting comments on, and I do tend to kind of bounce feedback off of Rigid a lot, is how we have a couple builds out there and the gear is already God rolled. So what I want everybody to understand is it doesn't come that way. Not most of the time. You maybe get one piece out of the whole build that'll be God rolled the way that we need it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let Rigid give his opinion on how many builds he's gotten every piece God rolled, or 2 or 3 pieces God rolled in, or how many builds he's had to work on. What do you think?
Oh, jeez. Well, number one, I've got many. I've got more hours than SHD into this game. um, you look at it and it's 6,900, and you think, wow, he's played a lot. My hours are a lot more. Most people with my SHD level have played a lot less hours than me. So, yes, I have been lucky and found quite a few, God rolled pieces. Not just God rolled, because that's kind of I don't know, it's kind of a misleading term, because there's plenty of God rolled gear you find all the time. You live in heroic all the time. You find tons of it.
Perfect MK16, but it's got God rolled stability.
Yeah, or health. Like that's not God rolled, and it's not. It shouldn't even be. Just max rolls is not something that should even be in the conversation.
Right.
For the most part, we're finding bits with the right attributes, and for the most part, even if it's not quote unquote God rolled, as long as it's got the right rolls on it, you'll be doing a hell of a lot better than just mismatching. So even if you've got a piece that is minimum, as long as your weapon damage is on there and it's got the right attributes. So
highly agree with that.
Yeah,
highly agree with that.
You're 90% of the way there.
Yep.
And then the
doesn't matter what the stats are,
optimization.
as long as they're the right ones. As long as they're the right ones, that's why that gear is important. Save it for later if you have to.
Yeah, the optimization is really like the last 10% of the
Right. I personally tend to prefer to get gear at least in that top 80% before I actually try to run field tests on it and stuff like that. Don't test a lot of builds in the range since you showed me all the broken things about the range. I don't even bother anymore. But we're going to show off your build here in a minute. Something else that I wanted to talk about was the harder to find builds. So we've come up with this oxidizer build, and in that build we use a couple of Walker and Harris pieces that are rolled to skill damage, which isn't a common thing. Also skill haste, so that we can regenerate our pills for oxidizer quickly. So that's double yellow on a Walker Harris piece, and a lot of people don't see that. Or when you see it, it's repair skills and skill haste, or something like that. And
or you see it
that
right as
yellow,
you've crushed it, and it's gone forever.
Yeah, right as you crush it. Yeah.
Like, oh man. But yeah, I mean.
So I mean, personally, I ran countdowns with Rigid over and over and over again in order to find my 2 Walker and Harris pieces for mine. The PGC, we ran it once and we had it. It was no problem. That's just Providence defense, and kill a few hunters, and usually one will drop. As far as the Fox's Prayer and the Contractor's Gloves, well, I picked them up along my travels to my shade level, and my hours of play is definitely more than my shade level as well. I think I'm like right on the equal, maybe. I don't know for sure, but yeah, it's definitely right around there. But definitely found them, and when I saw them, it was like, ooh, maybe that could be useful for something, and so I saved it. I definitely don't hoard gear like our fellow compadre Puma, but
I don't think anybody
I do have
does.
to say I do hoard gear, but I only focus on one guy. I know you yourself, you've got 2 or 3?
I have 4 characters currently, like 4 main lines.
All builds are full and preset?
Oh yeah, I've got like maybe 5. How many slots do I have on this one? I've got 0 slots on this one right now.
Probably filled up with all of those stage lefts from the other day, huh?
Well, here's the thing: when you start to get into like niche specialty builds, you can have an entire character filled with things that are unique and specific to each individual build you have saved. So if you have, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have a maximum of 16
per character.
16 per character. If I took out everything that isn't attached to a specific build, so that's getting rid of things that are my variables, right? So like opportunistic backpacks and things like that, I'd still be at like 130 pieces out of 150. So on my main characters. So that's kind of the dark side of running these weirdo builds, right?
That sounds like an RPG to me, man.
Yes.
Any role-playing game, you're gonna have pieces of gear stashed here and there.
I mean, there's nice things
to be gonna fill up.
There's nice things about the the 3-piece Providence, like kind of old school meta builds where it's simplistic. Like here's your 6 pieces. And your variables are going to be your mask and maybe your backpack. Maybe a tardigrade every once in a while. But when you start getting into like things like that, the oxidizer build, right? I'm working on a whole other one that's like similar, but for fire sticky right now. So I've got like prototype builds of that. Like the 3 of them saved, like
field testing still needs to be done.
Toggling back and forth and taking up inventory space. So, but I mean, again, like none of these bits, like on the really weird, ever since they fixed Rainbow, right? Like it's completely messed up a lot of the more, in my opinion, like the high end builds. It's really hamstrung us as far as finding the right pieces, because if it's a red build, like all attributes are red all the time, finding the yellow pieces to finish it out, like Walker Harris, or even like Golden Gear, like rolling Golden Gear into skill tier, it's like that's unicorn teeth. You never see it. So
So,
Oh.
being that I create content, though, Rigid, and we failed the first time, or I failed the first time, we were doing good there too. Let's go ahead and talk about the build that you're in right now. So, you have this SMG build that you wanted to kind of put out there and tell people about, or at least have a source where people can go and kind of look at your reason for doing the things that you're doing. So, I'm going to go ahead and look at that build right now. And we'll start off with your specialization. You've chosen the gunner specialization. What's the reason for that?
So, okay, well, the specialization is kind of like the wild card. It's personal preference on my end, because I hate looking for ammo. Number one, that's you're always looking for ammo when somebody's rushing you, and especially with a SMG build, you really don't have time for that.
Nope.
Second piece of that is the Banshee Pulse, which I really like. Area effect of that, slow, fast cooldown and long duration. It really helps you get in that first hit when you run up on a group in the open world. Gives you more opportunities to use the busy little bee, things like that. So,
Okay.
and also, rate of fire on kill, armor on kill is a big thing. So
Survivability
a
factor there.
little bit, a little bit of breathing room.
Yep.
But for the most part, I mean, there are ways. Other specializations would do technically more damage. Like what is it, Demolitionist that gives you damage to target out of cover?
Demolitionist does give you damage to target out of cover. Yeah, detox.
For everybody in the group, yeah. Things like that. But in general, for this type of build, like up close and personal, I go with gunner.
Heavy damage builds like this, I think, if you can just find that one little piece, that like you're wearing the coyote mask. I see that, and we'll get to that later. But if you can find that one little piece to kind of secure that slot to be able to say, okay, hey, I can bring this, and it can be viable for everyone, not just me.
Yeah.
So I see that you're running a SIG MPX.
Yeah. So
what was the reasons for that again?
So the main thing about the MPX is, number one, the range. It's a 22-meter range. All other SMGs are limited to right about 15. But if you put it up against any other AR, you're really only losing a few meters, especially if you put it up against everybody's favorite FAMAS. The FAMAS only has 26-meter range. It's where it starts to dip off, and for a fairly similar rate of fire, the MPX does significantly more damage. There's just no
FAMAS
comparison.
Is an AR, right?
Yeah. So
I mean, essentially not really the weapon of choice for this build anyway.
Right, and especially because it's not that stable at distance. It's good if you're using an AR as your close damage, but there's reasons around why that's really not.
Yeah,
optimal.
That's a different build entirely.
Yeah, long range AR. I mean, honestly, this is both. This is a SMG build and a long range AR build. And
right,
I'll go into that a little bit.
K16.
Yeah, because number one, like you mentioned, the coyote mask. So up to a group of 4, there's no other piece that you could put in that slot that's going to make this have more damage. Period.
Right.
For myself or for the group.
Right.
It's just hands down, because I've already got my Grupo. I've got my 2-piece critical hit damage from Solkov, the 1-piece critical hit damage from Grupo, and then I've got my crit from Coyote's Mask. So there's no amount of crit damage that you're going to be able to add to this build based on those pieces. And I don't have to make any sacrifices on the damage to target out of cover from the Fox's Prayer knee pads, or the damage to armor and the contractor gloves. Like there's no.
Which I see you have both of those slotted as critical hit damage. So both Fox's Prayer, and Contractors with crit hit damage.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent.
So I'm
Um,
giving up 0 crit hit chance or damage
mhm.
or damage to target or anything. There's no compromises here.
And with your SMG, what were you your crit chance over crit damage? What was that again?
60 over 193.
So your cap over 193. Damn, you're almost at 200. That's nice, dude.
Yeah.
And instantly at 200 as soon as strained activates. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I
200
have,
plus.
yeah, there's an extra 25% on everything within 15 meters. So,
Yep. And then the coyote buff too. Oof.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So it doesn't give
Yeah,
up
for
anything.
sure.
And then on my secondary is the Tactical Mark 16, and it's not even really a secondary because this is such a crit heavy build as is. I'm running that with Ranger, and in this combination, I can kill everything in the range here. It's got my best DPS on the AoE and time to kill targets, and I can also take down the 50-meter named targets on the range with 1 mag. So it's really a best of both worlds. In
And a lot of
one.
that is because of the ranger that you have there.
Well,
If you
it's
went with
two
something
things.
else, would you be able to do that?
I have been able to do it on occasion, but not as often with the ACR and ACRE. It's really the accuracy of the weapon. Being able to keep rounds on target is all of it. Now, you could make other weapons get close, but not to the 50-meter by throwing on other attachments. I mean, it's basically down to the bullet. I can kill a 50-meter target within 2 bullets, and that have 1 or 2 bullets left in the mag, and that's it. So if I made any other compromises on it, it wouldn't be able to do it. But the time to kill at 50 meters,
buff, and you can probably do it in half a clip, right?
Oh, heck yeah. But you've got to have some kind of standard, right? So the way I've picked all this equipment is based on however many years of testing in the range and having a standard. So I always rate my DPS builds off of, on Heroic World, the time to kill range here. On very hard, I have to be able to take down all targets in under 12 seconds.
Okay.
If it doesn't do that, then it's not a DPS build. Now,
let's
caveat
here after we talk about a couple more pieces. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Let's finish looking at that build. We'll demo all of that, and you can talk about that as well. I'll definitely ask you that question again. Let's touch on that later. So I noticed that you're also running 2 pieces of Sokolov. I totally understand why you get the critical hit damage there. I see that you get the bonus SMG damage. I noticed you're running Glass Cannon. Not one of my favorite talents, to be totally honest, especially in an all-red build, but definitely maximizes your DPS.
Yes.
I could see some utility there.
Yeah, and I have, when I'm not feeling up to speed, I do have another piece with Obliterate on it. And you don't really give up that much damage switching to Obliterate for an SMG just because of the high rate of fire. But on your AR side, you definitely do.
Okay.
But it's one of those kill before you get killed kind of things.
Absolutely, dude. Totally understand.
Glass Cannon just puts things down, and there's nothing like it. If you haven't run it, do so and get used to it, because it's kind of just if it's hard to do. Oh no, I'm not talking to you. I know you do.
I run it, and I go down more than we'll leave that part out of there, but yeah, I go down a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you're not going for that perfect Glass Cannon kind of kill everything instantly, it helps your habits as far as just not getting hit in general. It
Mm-hmm.
helps your play style overall. Once you get
Oh,
used
I highly agree.
once you get used to not getting shot and
Mm-hmm.
figuring out how to keep the attack and keep pushing without getting hurt. I mean that's the key to the game,
Right.
and you're not going to learn
So
that in a bulwark build. Period.
So let's touch on this other piece, and I really like what you've got going on here. You've got a Grupo Sombra backpack, and you've chosen the talent Vigilance. Both great combinations. A lot of people don't understand that talent, and a lot of people don't understand how beneficial Grupo Sombra is, especially in an SMG build. I mean, wow, dude, that is an absolutely gorgeous piece right there.
Yeah, and that it's very structured on how this is put together, right? So, in a build like this, the pieces that can't move are number one, your mask, your gloves, and number three, your knee pads.
Mm-hmm.
But also, so really the only variables you have are your holster, chest piece, and backpack. Now,
Yep.
let's say I was to take this exact build and change it. I don't know if will refresh.
Let me check. I'm standing right
Uh,
next to you. It should.
oh, I got to get out of combat. I freaking hate this. Hang on. Got to run to the other room, go to the changing room, change.
Play chicken.
Right. Okay.
All right, let me see.
So now you should see this exact same build, but built as a Fenris build.
Yeah, yeah, I do actually, and I really like that holster too.
Now,
That's a nice looking holster there.
the net result here, and I have another one that doesn't have headshot damage. It has crit hit chance, crit hit damage also.
Right,
Uh,
right.
if you
Again,
check
not
it
the build
again.
we're talking about, guys.
Not we're
Not the build
talking
we're
about.
talking about, but just a
But
variance.
but as far as modularity, right? Um,
Yep.
so I can easily switch this to be a Fenris build with glass cannon,
Mm-hmm.
or I can switch it to be a Fenris build with Ferocious Calm. That's the perfect Overwatch chess piece. If you look at it again,
Once they fix it, devs,
yeah.
if you're listening,
Um,
fix the damn build for us so we can run it. Yeah,
so,
I'm looking for that piece too.
in my opinion, Grupo backpacks are like that should be a lockdown. Like not only vigilance as a talent, but saying okay as a general rule, I keep Grupo is my backpacks because I can also switch that out to a Grupo. The other, like I was saying earlier, my variables.
Mm-hmm.
I have vigilance with crit hit chance and damage. I have vigilance with crit hit damage and headshot damage. I have
Mm-hmm.
Grupo with opportunistic. So I can quickly switch out, and then instead of say the SMG, switch to Scorpio, and now I've got an Overwatch opportunistic with Scorpio build with
Nice,
just
nice.
changing three pieces. Where
Yep.
instead of switching out everything, and it makes it easy to do it when you're in combat too.
So, nice point that you made there about how easy it is to change those out. So, by favoring that Grupo Sombra backpack as like your slotted item, like your Grupo Sombra is what you're going to put on your back,
Mm-hmm.
and by favoring that chest piece as a Fenris, like or by making the chest piece and the holster interchangeable, you can run multiple different sets of weapons is what I'm seeing there, and different strategies to play too. You could even say what's the talent that gives everybody crit chance, crit damage to a
Oh,
status affected target. I'm
um,
spacing it right now.
so it's one of my favorites though. Well, I've got the weapon. Let me just scroll down to that. Vindictive. So
Vindictive, yeah. You could run
doing this with a vindictive build
strat with that too.
So like as far as being like useful to your teammates and like a raid and things like that, if and it doesn't need to be like I said, Grupo's always your backpack. That's kind of my personal thing because it keeps it in my head. Like when I see gear and I go, oh, it's a Grupo backpack. I should probably hang on to that. For maybe another character, look at it, but it keeps it fresh in your head that, like certain slots are for certain things. Yeah, it might reduce the amount of effective pieces I have, but overall it reduces the amount of inventory I have to carry to be effective, right? Because if my gloves, like for DPS builds, if my gloves and knee pads, and backpack and face mask never have to change. And really what I'm making a decision on is whether it's an AR build, a shotgun build, or a SMG build. And really you're just it's your holster and your chest piece and whatever weapon you're bringing along. Really reducing the amount of choices you need to make in that equation.
Why don't you go ahead and show off that SMG build real quick? Let's see if you can get that 12-second TTK. TTK, folks, if you see it on this test range too, that's going to be time to kill. The faster the TTK is, the less they can hurt you. Just putting that out there.
Alright, let's see. Way off, but
missed a few shots there.
But
he was on very hard and heroic too.
Well, on this setting, the thing you got to keep in mind is scaling by how many players are in your
having
party.
Me in the group. Yep.
Yeah, having you in the group adds on a lot of damage that these targets can take. So, like my gauge is me solo. Just having a standard. So this build can do
16 seconds in 2-man is pretty fucking badass.
Yeah, I have a video with like 11.3, or something like that. That's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. Typically solo, I can take down 2 targets plus some with 1 mag on the TTK. So.
Yeah, I saw it spike up to 10.
So
that's not bad, dude.
The main thing,
that's fucking.
If you're gonna call it DPS, it's got to go name, target, and 1 mag. So it's kind of a minimum. So that's like I was saying before, the red future build. It can still take down a name target in 1 mag.
Yep.
And
even
then
on 2-man content.
And the AR, let's go. Way off.
Well, because of the 2-man health pool.
Well, I wasn't doing my bit.
Clip.
I wasn't doing my bit. I was missing a bit there. Now, when I say it's possible, I mean it's possible. Not that I could do it every time.
Yeah. I mean, land a bottle of water on the bottom and standing up every time you throw it.
Yeah.
It might not happen every time.
But doing, solo, it's about 5 million. I've got a video on my profile that,
That's not bad for 50 meters, dude. 5 million's pretty freaking mean.
Yeah, I mean at 35, it's a cakewalk.
Especially with that tech MK.
Yeah, it's easy 1 mag at 35. 45, it's a little bit of a stretch. and it's really only like specifically the Mark series. So like the other Marks, the like this is the tactical. The other ones can do it. I just like the look of this weapon as a
Mm-hmm.
class, you know.
There's a slight variance between the SOCOM and the Mark II, right? It's an accuracy over stability
Yeah,
variance, just a
it's
little bit.
very very slight, but you know, I just like the way this one looks over the other one.
Yeah.
But I do have them both.
Mm-hmm.
I think I
I'm
have
sure
the other
you
one.
do.
Yeah, it's you know, and I have a carbine 7, you know, with
That's just
Ranger. I have a
touching it
carbine
lightly.
7 with addictive, all those other things. They just within the way I run, which is typically, you know, either SMG or Scorpio, really don't have a need for a mid-range or close-range AR,
Right.
which is kind of where I feel the Carbine 7 falls. And like even in the like here, let's reset this. Just show the differential between the this is a Carbine 7 strained. Doesn't put down the target.
Right.
Let's switch to the Mark 17. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Range testing we can also trim out later if we need to.
Yeah.
I liked the part that you touched on about how the build is very interchangeable. So you can make it fit the need, or you can make it fit your desired playstyle of that particular day. Like, that's pretty cool. I
Or
like
even the
that.
group you run with. You know,
Right, right.
it's
That's
keeping
kind of what
that
I meant by fit the
modularity.
need.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of what the other subject was that I wanted to touch on. Oh, that's right. I was going to actually ask if you had any feedback on this Umbra initiative set that I'm working on. I'm still working on it. I'm not putting it out there yet. I'm definitely showcasing it on this video just because I have been running with it this way for a while. I've chosen the Technician because it's the only way I can get the Artificer to be able to regenerate my shield. I'm running the shield because you have to pop out of cover and stand in the wide open spaces in order to get your different buffs, especially the rate of fire buff. I'm choosing to use the Kingbreaker, of course. Yeah, of course, you know why I'm choosing to use that. The
Yeah.
attack laser and the instant damage boost. It's just one of those meaner weapons. And then the opportunistic debuff with the ACS-12 is unreal. But I'm kind of interested in your feedback on what I've got going on so far.
Well, running with you in Countdown with this is really where I can tell there's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like it seems like you've got a lot more. You can push a lot harder because you do have that armor regen where you're not, you know, having to rely, you know, because normally I'm running the um,
Vanguard.
Vanguard build, Vanguard with
Mm-hmm.
galvanized, you know, and this it doesn't seem like you're as reliant on the bonus armor.
Right, right.
Like you can get in the hunter's faces a lot easier, and dude,
Dip out before I die.
yeah, dip out and regain it without, you know, relying on armor kits and all this other stuff.
Yep.
Massive damage from what it sounds like. I haven't seen it in action, like as far as what kind of numbers you're getting.
Oh, and Countdown,
But
it's like that. It's like that. What's the SMG that we
oh,
were
Lady
cracking
Death.
jokes about? No, not Lady Death.
Oh, backfire.
The Backfire. It's like that one guy, man. You see that shit? I'm shredding him. I'm
Yeah.
shredding him. Honestly, yeah, it does put out the damage, and if you can do the quick swap from the ACS-12 to the Kingbreaker without those damage bonuses, you're definitely gonna crack over 1 million, but per bullet. But I liked it so much so because I'm giving a bigger opportunistic debuff,
Yeah.
and I can spread it a lot across a lot wider area, and with five, six, seven other teammates,
Yeah, you
it
just turn
just
on the
seemed
fire
like
hose, like as you're
yeah,
running.
yeah, and like I chose to go weapon handling on it because it keeps that ACS 12 stable, and because that's kind of the purpose of the build. The utility of the build right now is trying to spread that perfectly opportunistic and kind of lay down a little bit of the
Yeah, it looks like you've been fine-tuning your weapon handling a bit. You've got a lot more crit damage rolled in than where
uh-huh.
you started.
Yep. I did
Are
have
you
it all
that
weapon handling before.
finding that fine point between, too
I'm
much and too
still
little weapon
testing it.
handling?
I'm still testing it, man, because I haven't had an opportunity to really roll around with it a whole lot because, of course, it's a build I'm testing, so I'm learning the play style.
Hmm.
And that's something else that, we could touch on so many things, but that's another great point to touch on. Each build that we put out there, and like Rigid has multiple builds, and like we both said, we have thousands of hours, like we have watch levels in the game. We have lots of time invested. And so our time invested gives us the ability to be versatile with our playstyle. Now, they recently released this gear and it requires a certain playstyle. Depending on how you're running it. Now, if you run the backpack, of course, you're going to regenerate more armor when you go into cover. But you have to go into cover to regenerate that armor. You can't regenerate that armor in the open with all of these red cores and secondary attributes. So yeah, this build is a new playstyle for me. Like, I have to go into cover and even try to make sure that I time it where I go into cover, like up against a door or a box, before my team goes through the next door and generates the pull. Otherwise, I'm not going to have the rate of fire, and I'm just going to be my basic same old, ACS 12 doing base damage. Like it's not, there's no increase there unless I'm getting that into the light buff. And so yeah, it's definitely a new play style for me. I ran it with Reviver, I ran Gunner. An SMG in this particular build, if you're soloing, I could see it being a good thing, and that's one of the things I remember touching on now. This build? I really didn't think that I was going to try to work on testing this build because of my whole group synergy kind of thing that I like to base my builds
Yeah.
on, and I really felt that it was a very selfish build. I didn't feel like it was a viable group synergy build, and then now I'm kind of realizing it has a utility.
Oh,
Kind
you
of like you
definitely
said.
nailed it. You know, like
Yeah,
you've got your two pieces of flair right there. You've got your Coyote Mask and your setup, which are both team synergy pieces. Like working that in is key and for the group dynamic.
yeah. Couldn't give the group dynamic with the specialization, but I mean, hey, somebody else can add the multiplier today.
Yeah. There's such a thing as too much. Like, I've been guilty on trying to hit too many group buffs with one build, like doing Overwatch with Vindictive and dialing down my
Putting that all on
effectiveness.
your red future.
Yeah, all at the same time, and I
Holy
get less
shit! I got
effective and
too many games and games and games to play
yeah.
here.
Yeah, run a negotiator with Diamondback, like game within a game within a game within a game, and
Yeah,
too many group buffs and not enough of my own, for
right.
legendaries, right? So yeah,
He so Rigid mentioned this setup, and you guys can see that it's a red, and you're probably like, well, that doesn't come with a red core, and no, it didn't. So just a heads up. Again, we want to touch on this. I really want to touch on this in this video a lot because I did not get this piece fully optimized. I picked this piece up with I think 3% critical hit chance, and I think I had it at like 8.7 on the crit damage. but it had those two stats, and I was able to drop that armor core and put that weapon damage core on there. It does kind of suck running that on this build because it's a total armor bonus, that one set bonus, but the point of that piece is that perfectly opportunistic, dude. That 15% damage from all sources is huge.
It's humongous.
Huge.
It's a big, big deal.
It's like almost, do I want to give that up and try to do a survivalist and run a lefty, or a stage left with it? I don't see the stage left being beneficial with that rate of fire though.
No.
Or even the lefty. Like the lefty right now, it's a single trigger pull, and it's supposed to be an ACS 12 from what I remember the devs saying, and it's not. It's you got to pull the trigger every time. Yeah, sure, it has a high rate of fire, but I mean, when you can just pull down the trigger and let loose, and that rate of fire is increased, I don't think I could pull the trigger fast enough on a lefty when I have that rate of fire increased. So I really think that it's got to be this way.
I
a lot
think
of people are going to be like, well, why aren't you running the rock and roll? And the reason why I'm not running the rock and roll is because I can't put flatline on it. And ACS 12s already go through the fucking ammo like it's going out of style, man.
You don't need to be throwing away ammo.
Why do you need those extra, 10, 11 rounds, dude? You don't have to have a rock and roll, and you can't put different talents on it. You can't make the weapon fit the need for the build. I just still working on it, but I think I'm almost on the point of releasing it. It's just definitely
I think you're about there. I think you just need to work out your weapon handling side of it, and once you get comfortable with that, because I mean it is a fine line. That ACS 12, it's not a good handling machine.
To the moon, man. If you don't pull down the joystick, it's going to the ceiling, bro.
Yeah. And that also affects how large your reticle is and how many pellets are on target also. So
are you still in your SMG build?
No, I got the red future on at the moment. I can switch back.
Yeah, throw your SMG build on, because I want people to see how beneficial this opportunistic is, or just the build in general. Let's run the ACS 12.
Oh, you want to get
silly? I'm gonna get in
you want me to busy bee this?
No, don't busy bee it. That'd be like going into Countdown and not telling people I have the buffs and I'm hitting for 4 million a bullet. Yeah, no. I'm definitely gonna make you hit harder. Let's clear your TTK. What do we got to do? Reset the TTK. Yeah. Let's see if you can get a 2-man group. Will it reset?
It'll reset when it starts. Oh.
Okay, so I'm fully ready. I'm ready to get my Into the Light buff. Are you ready?
Yep.
Now, I could have kept shooting the whole time, but I didn't. I just wanted to see if I could get you down to that 12-second mark. So... And as you can see, that fucking rate of fire on that ACS 12 when you get that Into the Light, oh my god, dude, it's so awesome.
It's ridiculous.
It is mean.
Let's see how we can
switch. I mean, yeah. That's all I'm going to showcase on that one for now.
Yeah.
We got about 15 minutes to have like an hour-long interview / hang out with Rigid and talk about his stuff. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on that you were trying to put out there?
Not really. I mean, it's kind of like task and purpose.
Put you on the spot. He's like,
Yeah. Well, originally I started going into the differentials between like the SMG, like straight up DPS build, and negotiators, and
yeah, I think you talked about that pretty good. Yeah.
Kind of, there's a time and place for each, and the benefits and whatnot. Put on my negotiator so we can have something to talk about. So, like the SMG build, like first bullet out, It's built to be, you know, almost as high as you're going to get in DPS with your first bullet out of a mag, uh, as opposed to, there's a lot of other builds that you can get stacks and get higher, but it takes
Right.
time, and it's not really something that's usable like in a raid, or when you first run into like a heavy or something.
Hmm.
Um, like, but the other one I wanted to go into a little bit, and you've covered quite a bit, is negotiator, right? Once you hit your stride negotiator, like that's about the highest DPS you're going to get, because it stacks until your crit hit damage stacks until you exit combat. It just keeps going up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
So waves and waves and waves, and it just keeps getting better and better and better.
And
Um,
that buff is crit damage, right? That buff is crit
yeah.
damage. Let me
Yep.
make sure I'm looking at that right. Yeah, so you're getting crit damage, and by running the backpack, you're getting a 100% damage to all of your marked targets. Now, because he's not running the chess piece, which I don't either, I don't tell people to run it in my build videos. I don't think that it's a wise choice. I mean, unless you're able to camp a doorway and you want that 3 seconds where you can mark 5 targets and burn them all at once, sure. But I mean, for this to be viable, like to do a whole run with, I think that is solid as shit. The glass cannon again, it makes my fucking knees knock when I look at glass cannon. But again, you're running a Grupo Somber chess piece, another one of my favorite pieces. Something I don't see that a lot of people talk about, or I've received one comment on it, and I never received it again. But was run Fenris, and I tested Fenris with the negotiator, and Fenris, or even if you're running an SMG, Sokolov, whatever, they do not provide you the crit damage bonuses that you need to get the maximum damage from the negotiator build.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion, and like soft caps and blah 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 blah. I mention all that shit in my videos, and I know that a lot of the players that we play with, a lot of the FKM are running those soft caps in a lot of other builds too, because we always have a coyote mask, and that's one of the key pieces I see in yours as well. Is
Yeah.
the coyote mask, and those stack. Just so everybody knows, those will stack. So if you have 3 coyote masks in a group, and once you achieve those 3 buffs, they will not go away until you guys leave the group. They literally
Yeah.
will be
So
up the
you exit
whole
combat.
time.
Yeah.
I think it stays up the whole time, doesn't it?
Um, I've noticed in raids sometimes it resets. When you
But it
exit
usually comes
combat and
back almost
re-enter
instantly.
combat. Yeah. Yeah. And because they can't override each other.
Hmm.
If you have two, it's a different thing than having three. But in a raid, there's
Even
really no
two
piece
is
more powerful. Yeah.
even two is pretty mean. Yeah.
Kind of kind of imperative in a raid group.
Right.
Um, and the other way I like to run negotiator, because I'm kind of more of an Overwatch player overall. But I don't know if you've ever played with Pristine Example with negotiators.
I haven't yet, and I think the reason why was just because it requires the marksman. Like, I felt like DPS wise, a marksman rifle it didn't, it didn't throw me into the DPS range that I wanted to be at, and it didn't allow me to be able to burn down the multiple targets like I want. Plus, I run mine with technician most of the time because we're running a legendary, or we need heavy amounts of DPS, and I can mark and then go to a tank or a dog,
Mm-hmm.
or I can burn down drones before they hit me, things like that. But
So,
and the focus, I found that the scroll speed on console versus computer PC, like I was having a very difficult time tracking targets at close range with focus. I
yeah.
don't know. You don't find it difficult to do that?
Oh, I totally do. But
Okay.
that kind of goes back to the original thing I was saying. Like, I'm more of an Overwatch like back of the room player a lot of times. So like if you're especially like how I've got it put together right now, um, there's certain places like you know, in DUA when you've got the hallways and chungas are rushing you, you don't need um, that quick, you know, 90-degree target acquisition. You're really just shooting fish down a
Straight
barrel.
down the line.
And yeah, and there's really nothing compares to the damage boost that you can get with pristine example in those types of situations. And
That
especially
makes a
now
lot
that
of
they've
sense now that I think about it. Yeah, so like say DUA and a lot of people District Union Arena, just so we can translate these acronyms for you. And quick translation also on the choice here. Mine and Bridget both, we choose to go with the bigger multiplier of the two multipliers you can add to weapons, which is DTOC, or damage to targets out of cover. Some people call it OOC, but that is a definite large multiplier, and it affects all targets that you fight except for maybe like 3 to 5%. Literally, most of the targets are charging at you, walking around, chungas, things like that. Anyways, back to the focus. The focus, I definitely can see a use with that, say like in the beginning of District Union Arena. A lot of people have definitely seen the beginning, so when that first wave, that chopper wave hits,
hmm
I could totally see a utility there with this negotiator, because you can zoom in and rattle off heads on the right or left lane, depending on which lane you've chosen to take at that point.
Now, like trick tips for me on this. Number one, something that you know a lot of people don't know is the talent for focus does not reset on reload. So as long as
Right.
you're firing till empty, um, it does not reset on your reload. So that you have 100% uptime on sustained fire. So in order to keep the sustained fire, your best friend is decoy, right? Decoy and
I think,
suppression.
yeah.
So like a weapon like Sleipnir, it's absolutely wrecks because you're suppressing everything that can be suppressed. Anything that sticks up just gets completely annihilated because you have you're able to keep it on target. Um, it's amazing, and like especially like once you're inside in the stage where the three chungas are rushing you, the second stage of the second stage, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Like you keep that perfect frenzy proc the entire time, and I can probably show you here real quick how absolutely ridiculous that can get.
Did you change again? Let me see. Hang on a second.
Yeah. So let me.
Okay, you're still running perfect focus, and then oh, the Schleppner perfect frenzy. Every 8 bullets magazine. Okay.
So, and that, just so you know, the focus talent wasn't fully procced on that. So I can keep that sustained pretty much indefinitely. And the nice thing about the Sleipnir is the damage bonuses and the rate of fire bonuses are almost exactly the same as how many bullets you have in your mag. So there's it's not like you're really missing out on any of that damage, you know, rate of fire and whatnot.
Right.
Another one that I like to run, you know, so that's negotiator. So I can just kind of spray and pray on that, hit everything, and do ridiculous amounts of damage. Another one that's fun like that is Red Patriot. Same setup, like literally
Okay.
just
Just all
change
of your
out.
set pieces are changed out to Patriot
Mm-hmm.
with the
And
Schleppner.
Yeah, and then you run that. Yeah, and what that does is Patriot gives you that 30% extra ammo capacity. So you've got a 130 round mag. Your damage and rate of fire is based off of how many bullets are in the mag. So you're really getting 65% bonus rate of fire and 65% bonus damage with that.
Nice.
So it's all group dynamic bonus stuff. Like
Well,
my
hey
my
man,
my
go ahead.
perfect
Go ahead.
world
Finish
would
it.
be if someday I want to run Red Patriot and Red Future with somebody running Negotiator, and fourth party would be running CC, and just ridiculous annihilation.
Dude, that sounds like a
Because
20-minute DUA run to me.
yeah, because we could cover all bases. You've got your damage bonus from Future, you've got your damage bonus from Patriot. You can work opportunistic and Overwatch in there also on the Patriot. And then you've got Negotiator, just mad amounts of damage. You could probably even throw Vindictive in on the Negotiator build, and you'd have enough bonus damage to be just wrecking everything. And that would also
Right.
work along with, the CC build. And honestly, I mean, now that the new ongoing directive is in, I mean, maybe ongoing works better hand in hand with CC. I mean, we haven't even run that yet, really. And
Ongoing is definitely going to be one of the new builds that I work because so many of the people in the clan are running CC now too,
yeah,
and
we've got
so
enough
it's
heads that are really good at it to where work along with
yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah, it's not as often anymore. Hop run CC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Hop, are you going to run CC again? How about
Yeah.
So
So, anyways, got about 3 minutes left. Just wanted to make sure to kind of cut it off at an hour. So, got about 3 minutes left. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on to close things out?
oh geez, let me think. Nah, good talks.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to touch on one more thing. So, when we were outside, you probably noticed that Rigid has a 17 with wings next to his name. When I was a wee one, barely got my watch, and I was just learning how to play. Yes, because I was there too. So was Rigid. We at least me, I wasn't receiving the kind of help that I really felt like I wanted. And so they have this awesome thing in the game that's called shepherding. And so what we will do is he's actually much higher than me right now, which he's been shepherding a lot. And so what we would do is we would go and we would queue up in a random queue. I'll show it to you here just to kind of close this video out. We go into matchmaking and we click on this answer the call. And what that does is you're out there in the open world and you want to play with Rigid or Hop. Well, I guarantee you we're going to be in the queue a lot more than some of the other players you see out there streaming and doing videos, especially because I'm on the up and up and I'm trying to become somebody, but it's working on a slow pace. I've got other jobs and things like that. But anyways, we both carry our wings around and we've got our shepherd level and we've been endorsed. We're very knowledgeable about the game. Ask for backup and you're going to run into a lot of players that are just like us that are willing to offer advice, things like that. But again, wanted to touch on something else that I said in the other part of the video that I didn't do on this one, was that Rigid and many of the FKM people, including Puma, who just joined the party, we even gave Puma some acknowledgement in the video, and they all have kind of given me feedback on my videos. They all support my content, and I just want to say thanks to them and the FKM Death Division, and I wouldn't be here without you guys. So thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to go ahead and cut this off right here. Of course, the video is probably going to keep running on Twitch, but that's Twitch. I do my editing on YouTube. We're going to cut this one out. Rigid's video will be about an hour long. I'm going to probably change the title up a little bit. It's okay. It was a good talk, good, healthy, lots of information. Yeah, good conversation. Basically, an hour-long interview with Rigid from FKM Death Division, and I'm gonna hopefully do that with a few of the other people from the clan as well
Well, thanks
that
for
are
having me, man.
knowledgeable about the game. Yeah, hey man, I appreciate you just on the spot hitting up and giving me some content, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime.
So, anyways,
Hopefully it was helpful.
we can just keep on going. I'm gonna cut that video off, but yeah, we're good. And welcome to the party, Puma.
It's going up. It's
You
quite
didn't
all
interrupt
right.
nothing, buddy. You didn't interrupt nothing.